And a very good morning to you, each and every one across East Tennessee watching us here. I'm sure you're wanting to know about the dangerous wind chills, the icy situations that we have all across the area. Going to try to break that down for you as we go into the next couple of minutes or so. Of course, we've been monitoring this for an extended period. Here's the live look from Ober Mountain. Now, over the past couple of days, they've not seen the snow over in Sevier County like we've seen for Knox County, but today they're actually seeing bands of those snow showers start to work their way through. We're also looking in Pigeon Forge where we've seen a few flurries flying around. I mentioned this because this is the setup for today on this Friday. We'll have off and on periods of flurries that come through from time to time. That's why we do have some alerts that are associated with that, like the winter weather advisory that we have for much of the area. As we move into the latter part of the afternoon, we'll continue to see some roads that do have some patches of ice on them. That road may have been cleared, but one of these bands comes through, makes some slush on the side of the road, and now we're dealing with that once again. So on the roads, we're going to have lingering ice and snow, and this really is going to be here for the coming days because we have an extended freeze that is with us for parts of the weekend. And you see the words below. Yes, dangerous wind chills will be here coming up overnight tonight into our Saturday. So here's those winter weather advisories really extending from Wartburg back over to La Follette, Knoxville, Halls, Fountain City, Farragut, over to Maryville, Alcoa, Greenback, Lenoir City, Gatlinburg, the Pigeon Forge, over to Newport, parts of Morristown, Sneedville, all under a winter weather advisory. And for our friends who do watch us from Harlan County in Kentucky, you're under a winter storm warning for the effects of this. But really all of us dealing with these patches of ice and snow that will accumulate on some of the roadways going forward. And we are now just at the freezing mark across parts of East Tennessee, and we'll continue to see these temperatures fall going into the afternoon. So what does manage to fall is going to refreeze and be here with us for this extended period until we get above freezing coming up on Monday. Yes, on Monday. So an extended period of that. Once we get done with the winter weather advisories that we have for today on this Friday, which go until the late evening hours, we're then going to be adding into, while you were sleeping, wind chill advisories that are posted really from 11 o'clock on Friday to noon on Saturday. That's for the entire area, but you look at wind chills over into the higher elevations. Those of you living on some mountain peaks are going to feel like we are below zero into the teens in several areas, and a wind chill warning has been posted for parts of the Smoky Mountains for a negative 20-degree temperature expected for those of you who maybe have a friend or something hiking along the mountains. Hopefully they have all they need to be able to make it through that type of situation. So let's talk about where we are right now. It feels like 21 in Knoxville to 25 Maynardville. It feels like 25 in Gatlinburg. It feels like 13 in Crossville, 29 Morristown. Yeah, that's brutally cold. But it's going to get even worse as we go into the evening hours because the winds that we have right now at 21 miles per hour are going to pick up just a little bit here. So this is the way the rest of the day shapes up. I mentioned those snow showers, and we'll look at that on the Futurecast here in just a second. But now we're looking at this temperature that just got above freezing just a little bit and now falls back down into the 20s for the afternoon. That means that areas that have been treated, maybe melted away, that can turn back into ice going into this afternoon. We're talking about your steps to get into your house, the sidewalk, the driveway getting into your home, your apartment complex. And let's not forget about the roads. We're going to be out driving on those roads today. And some of you may say, I can get out of my neighborhood. I know that there are several neighborhoods that are still iced over, but you were able to get out today. This afternoon and into the evening, right on through much of Saturday, I think, we're going to stay icy. The sun does manage to come back late on Saturday afternoon, stays with us on our Sunday. That's going to help melt a little bit, but temperature-wise, the air temperature is still going to be below freezing. So that's the reason for some of these extended alerts that we want to keep reminding you about with these extended first alert weather days. Here's live Doppler. Now, I point your attention to what we have here, say over Newport, parts of Knoxville seeing some flurries. There's batches that are off to the west as well that'll clip Cumberland County here in the next little while. So that really is all across the region if you have travel plans. Again, the interstates are looking pretty good. It's some of those secondary and back roads really from Knoxville and points to the north that are still having the major problems here. I drove much of Sevier County yesterday. Many of those roads were clear. I checked with the government information officer for Sevier County, and there are areas where there are patches of ice on roads, but the road is still passable. The only roads that continue to be closed are those within Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So here's a look at the snow that's coming down from Boyd's Creek back over into Seymour, areas like Kodak. You're seeing those flurries come through, and again, heavier at times based on where these bands manage to come through. Right over Greenville. Just a few flurries for you right now, but you get back over into areas like Rogersville up Interstate 71. That's where we're seeing some of those flurries flying once again. And then back off to the north and east, still some flurries from La Follette down Interstate 75 back over into Maynardville. And again, this is with us all day today, so we'll continue to see some areas of accumulation, especially in those cooler areas, those areas on the side of the roadway that maybe just don't get traveled quite as often. That's where we'll need to pay close attention. But you look off to our north and west, and you see here more areas of these light snow showers, these light snow flurries that will rotate through here in the next little while. And those are the areas that will continue to come through. Again, not really going to be the most major of problems, but it will add some ice and some slick spots on the roadways. And of course, on top of some of that freezing rain that many of you experience. So our weather alert days are going to be continuing here. I mentioned the wind speeds earlier. Right now, Knoxville's reporting that 21-mile-per-hour wind. Crossville is at 14. Madisonville reporting a 12-mile-per-hour wind. The winds are going to continue to stay with us here this afternoon, and then that leads right on into the evening hours when those wind chill advisories come back into play here. So still looking at some cold temperatures. So let's look at what it's going to feel like when you wake up on Saturday morning. Most of you are not going to be traveling once you get back home from work today. Once the sun sets, you'll kind of hunker down for the night. But if you've got something to do on Saturday morning, this is what you're going to need to be prepared for. -7 in Crossville to -4 Jamestown. In Knoxville itself, it feels like 3. You get to Gatlinburg, it feels like 6. It feels like 4 in Dandridge. We're going to continue to have, look at that, -10 in Crossville for parts of your Saturday afternoon. Jamestown's at 1. Not much better when you get into Clinton, over to Knoxville 8 to 10. Temperatures like this really doesn't make a big difference here, but just note into our Saturday afternoon, it continues to feel like negative degrees, if not into the single digits and teens here moving forward. And that's the case right on into the early parts of Sunday morning. For those of you, if your church is still having service on Sunday morning, be very careful getting out, because we've not had time for many of these areas to thaw out. And what did thaw out refroze overnight. So Sunday morning, look at that, Kingston, 0 degrees, 1 for Sweetwater, -4 to -8, Crossville to Jamestown. Make sure you're bundling up and let that car get all that ice off of your car before you try to start driving it as well. By 8 o'clock in the evening on Sunday, we managed to get back into some of the lower digits and also the teens as well. That might feel like a heat wave to some of you when you need to run out and check on things. So let's talk about the rest of this Friday. Again, I mentioned that we'll have these flurries that continue to rotate through here, and at any one given time, no matter where you are in East Tennessee, you could see some of these flurries. Again, will not be a major problem, but will add some areas of snow and ice onto your sidewalks, your driveways, those things that maybe you have already gotten out and started to try to clear away. So just watch for that. When you step out, try to avoid those slips and falls. Watch ahead of that so you know what's going on. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, really, from Gatlinburg back over to Newport, parts of the Smoky Mountains continue to see some of those heavier snowfalls that are with us. And then right on into parts of, say, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, that's the story as well. A little clearer when you get into areas like Knox County, back over into Loudoun, Lenoir City. But Crossville, you'll see a few flurries coming into your neighborhood as well. That really is during the overnight hours. For our Saturday morning, we wake up to a few flurries across the area, really that horseshoe effect we've talked about for years here. really parts of the Smoky Mountains closer to Gatlinburg, Pittman Center, Cosby, not Harriman, but parts of Hartford. You're going to see more in terms of that snowfall effect on Saturday morning than, say, in Knox County, where maybe just a few flurries. That bends back around into areas like Sneedville and up into Harlan County, where, again, I mentioned for our Kentucky viewers who watch us from there, dealing with that winter storm warning as well. So this weekend, let's kind of break it down. Here's what you need to know. And I'm counting today as part of the weekend because it is so cold and we continue to have winter weather that moves through. Icy conditions are with us. With temperatures like this, it's going to be hard for that ice to do any melting, even on Saturday afternoon and Sunday when we do have the sunshine coming down. So you might see some melt, but we're going to continue to have a refreeze here, especially once that sun goes down on Sunday evening. Hey, you're looking at black ice once again out on roadways and onto sidewalks. So we are expecting wind chills at or below 0 in some locations, and of course the others that are in the single digits not feeling much better. So brutally cold wind chills will be with us, and it only takes just a matter of minutes for you to be outside, exposed skin. We're talking about hypothermia and other issues that could happen. I know we have folks that are outside working. Thank you to the power crews. God bless you for out there working to get the power restored, keep the power on for many of our homes. But we know you're dealing with the cold directly, so our hats off to you for dealing with all that cold while we try to stay warm inside. But now we're talking about even colder air. It has been cold, but now we're talking about wind chills below 0. And don't forget, we still could have some trees that are weighted down from the ice and still could fall into these power lines. So crews still have another couple of days here before they're going to be able to give the entire all clear. Impacts here are going to be what I was talking about. We could have more power failures, but we're mostly looking at those slick roads and those bad wind chills that many of us are just not wanting to deal with. I know my drive into the office today, I had to come to Knoxville, and the roads in Knoxville are a lot worse than they are in Sevier County. I had no problem driving around Sevier County on Thursday. Getting into Knox County, some of the areas were a little icy, a little dicey for some of the parking lots, some of the driveways. So it's a different situation than maybe most of us are used to when it's Sevier County talking about these major effects. So the impacts are here for those slick roads and those bad wind chills. We all feel that whether you have the ice on the ground or not. Here's the planning forecast. And I point this out to you because we're not really getting rid of this at any time soon. We're at 20 on Saturday. Sunday, the extended freeze continues. We get to 27, an overnight low of 5. And again, I showed you what it feels like with those wind chills earlier on in this broadcast here. So we're going to be cold here for the next couple of days. Everything that we've been telling you about, the pipes, the plants, the pets, we need to just continue to pay enough attention to that. Some of you may have seen my Facebook page. I've had a pipe burst. I've had to deal with that myself through this period. So hopefully we can avoid any more major complications. We get into Monday, and eventually we get to 38 degrees. That's going to sound like that heat wave, right? Let's book a cruise now. 38 on Monday, still with the sunshine, will help us to melt this thing just a little bit more, and we get above freezing, and we stay there for just a little while before that sun sets, and we pull back to around 24 degrees overnight Monday into Tuesday, and then we do get a nice warm up here, 45 to 50 degrees, even 61 by next Friday. Yes, looking at more rain to come through Wednesday, Thursday into Friday. But for the immediate future, what we're looking at here is we've got 3 more days to deal with this extended freeze. The ice that's on the ground, the more ice that will fall here through the course of our Friday, all of that leading to things that we need to just pay very close attention to. And of course, we're trying to give you the latest update. If your thermometer today says 33 right now, just look at that. We're going to be at 28 as we move into the afternoon. We're talking about that 4, 5 o'clock time frame when maybe you're trying to drive home from the office today. If you manage to get in, maybe you need to run out and get an errand. Yes, things have melted a little bit, but temperatures are falling throughout the course of the day, down to around 8 tomorrow morning on Saturday. Of course, I'll be back with you on Saturday morning. And then we're looking at the flurries for the early part of the day, 20s in the afternoon, maybe 27 on Sunday, and finally getting above freezing on Monday. So we'll all bear with this together. We've got a few more things that we need to deal with. The crews are out today gathering all of those information, ideas that maybe you've been thinking about. Can I get out of my neighborhood? Why is my neighborhood still icy? We have folks out asking those questions for today. So that is what we've got for now. I'm meteorologist Kyle Granger in the WVLT News Center. I'm headed back to the Weather Center, and I'll see you later on today.